The earthquake in Haiti in January 2010 was a major disaster in a capital city setting. The education system was heavily affected, with the ministry collapsing and significant loss of life in ministry staff, archives, and resources. More than 4,000 schools were either destroyed or damaged. Parents and children were traumatized by the earthquake and refused to use concrete buildings. The academic year was interrupted for 3 months in a country where the academic time is already below standard in terms of international education time. Haiti has faced decades of structural problems in the provision of education, with 80% of this provision in private hands and fee-paying. It is estimated that before the earthquake, 50% of children were not attending school. Some of the main achievements of the education cluster to date include the organization of more than 100 members, many of which were new to Haiti. We put in place subnational cluster system and thematic working groups. We also put in place a strong information management system, which gathered and disseminated information regularly, also conducting assessments and evaluations as needed. The education cluster has significantly supported school reconstruction and rubble removal through advocacy and coordination throughout. The education cluster was quick to respond to new emergencies in 2010, notably Hurricane Thomas and the outbreak of cholera. Quick action prevented the spread of cholera in schools, and partners were mobilized around prevention activities. In terms of challenges, there is still a significant outstanding humanitarian agenda for education in Haiti. One example is the large number of children in IDP camps that still need access to education, as well as the inclusion of education and relocation strategies currently taking place in the country. With the objective of transitioning emergency coordination activities to government, the structural weakness currently in the Ministry of Education and additional weakness due to the earthquake pose a significant challenge. With significant needs still outstanding, however, funding will be an issue for this year. The CAP 2011 for education is 0% funded, as opposed to 95% funded in 2011. Education partners in Haiti are reducing their activities in education, largely due to lack of funding. Education cluster working group experience and expertise would be useful when it comes to similar settings of large urban displacement and very limited public service provision, notably around the areas of including education and relocation strategies, successful transition and phase out of cluster in different modalities, as well as exit strategies and standards to put in place when schools are occupied during emergencies. The Education Cluster Working Group expertise and experience in similar settings of large-scale displacement and limited public service provision would be extremely useful, especially when it comes to including education and relocation strategies, to successful modalities of transition and phase out of clusters, and to exit strategies and standards when schools are occupied by displaced people in case of emergency.